Hi everyone, welcome back to Java 1 for All. In this video, we are going to see how we can actually initialize our arrays in different ways. And also, we are going to learn about the new for, the Foreach. So before we start, let's copy the name of this class and create a new one. Just go over the package src and alt insert, enter, and rename to class 07 arrays 03. And as you know, yes, VM. So basically, let's start pretty simple here with numbers. So at this point, you already know how to create arrays and how you can give the size of that array. Pretty simple, but as we saw, there are no way for us to actually change the size. We need to create a new object. But now I would like to show you different ways where we can have to initialize the array. So basically, the syntax for the reference variable is the same. We use here numbers 2. And one second, numbers. At some point, you even forget how to write. So numbers 2, and this is the syntax. You basically have the curly braces, and you give inside a value that matches the type of the reference that you have, comma separated. So for example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And doing this, we are creating an array, a reference variable called numbers 2. This reference variable has the type of an array of integers, and the object is an array of with 5 spaces, and the values are already assigned 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for each space. And remember, the index go from 0 to 4. So if we just print this value, numbers 2 dot length south numbers 2 position I, Ctrl Shift F10, and we have our values. So this is just a shortcut, I would say. Most of the time the values will come from somewhere else, and honestly I don't think you will be using arrays that much once you learn how to use collections. But if you are studying for the certification, it's good to know that we do have different ways to initialize and assign values to an array. And there is actually a third type. Basically it's the same thing, but now I will copy this because I had a hard time writing. And this new way is basically a mix of the first and the second way. So we have a new int, same thing with with brackets. But now, if I don't want to give the size of the array and I would like to initialize, I can copy this and have it here. So I will just change from 5, 4, 3, comma, not column, or not dot. So by doing this way, you are doing the same thing as the previous one, but in a different syntax. The results are exactly the same. There is one catch: you cannot have the size written down here if you do have the array initialized. So basically, it's either you initialize with the default values, or you initialize with your values, but you don't give the size. And if we change here, so interesting thing, I just changed the numbers 3 at the system out println, and we will see now 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, but I didn't change numbers 2.length. So basically, remember that numbers 2.length is just the size of an array. In the end, Java will understand this guy, and if you put a breakpoint here, as just a number. So basically, numbers 2.length is 5, and coincidentally, the size of the numbers 3 array is also 5. But this is wrong. If we want to change the value here, let's also change here, because if we change and we assign a new value here, we will have our array exactly the way we want. Okay, so now that we know basically all the ways to initialize an array, there is a new way to print an array. So I think it was introduced with Java maybe 6 or 7. And this new way is called Foreach. Basically, it's just or enhanced for. It's the same for, but with a cleaner syntax. It starts with for the same way, but then the syntax is going to be different because we don't have to do the business logic. Basically, the for each will know the size of the array for us, and behind the scenes, it will just go over everything. Now, what is the syntax? Basically, you just create a reference variable. Let's say just local variable, not reference. Not every time will be reference variable. In this case, you just need to create a local variable that matches the type of the array. So numbers 3, 2 or numbers, they are integers. So we just create here integers, and I will just give any name. It's basically the same thing that we are doing here. And then column, and just copy the array. Same thing, but now instead of getting the position I, we don't have index anymore. In this way, there is no way for you to access the index. So if you do need to use the index, go with this for. If you just need to go over all the elements in a sequence from 0 to the last position, just go with this kind of for, the enhanced for. And then I just print num. Control Shift F10. And as you can see, we have the value. So both values here. We'll remove this for now. Control Shift F10. So select Control / you put comments in the code. Okay, so we know what's happening here. Basically, behind the scenes, Java will know the size of the array, and you don't have to worry about it starting and stopping. It will just go from 0 to the last position. And this is just a local variable. So if you try to use or assign again, you can. But if you try to do that before, you will have an error because this scope is greater than the scope below. Okay, so what is happening? Basically, Java will go over position by position. So this is what's happening behind the scenes. First, it will create a variable, right? And this variable, it will get the first position of numbers 3. So Java knows that the position will be 0. And then it's going to out, it's going to print the position. Actually, it will print num down here. And then the next iteration, it will get num again, but num again will now have a reference to whatever is inside the position 1. And same thing, it will just print the num. And for the next iteration, now this same variable will have a reference to whatever is inside the space number 2. And you know, after you get the value inside this variable, you just print. So basically, this is what's happening. Remember, when you do this, there's no way for you to control the index that the values will have. You just basically go over everything in one shot. So the difference between these two, performance-wise, I don't think there are any. It's just a matter of the right tool for the right job. So in this case, I do prefer because it's cleaner and it actually is faster to write than this one. Okay, I think that's everything that I have to tell you. I think this is enough information. So let's continue in the next video. Bye.